This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
Oh, Bloomberg's not around. Our big gulp's safe. We're cool. Shoot, it's just popped with low-cal ice cubes in it. I hope that's okay.
Sarah Palin's CPAC speech continues to influence. Her symbolic stand for liberty by sipping from a big gulp has led to a new website and constant chatter across the country. The Liberty pose is catching on more and more each day, and now our first elected official has struck the pose. Jason Smith, a representative in the Missouri House, is here today to talk about why he got on board with the Liberty pose and about his race for Congress. Smith is running in a special election. A new site is capturing photos of people doing the Liberty pose, and folks are getting creative. Along with Liberty Pose and Palin Liberty Pose, another new hashtag is making its mark online. Hashtag Sarah Palin Does. We'll tell you what that's all about. A birthday for one of the Palin children, calling out Washington for no budget yet again, remembering our fallen Marines, and exposing politicians who try to use them for political gain. Plus, Governor Palin's take on Obama's trip to Israel. We're getting ready for Terry's Day, and 2 more Palin speeches are announced. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman. First, we're joined today by Jason Smith. He is the Speaker Pro Tem of the Missouri House of Representatives and the Republican candidate for Congress in Missouri's 8th District. Jason Smith, welcome to the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio.
Thanks, Kevin. It's great to be on.
Now, if you haven't seen it yet, Jason Smith struck that now famous Liberty pose on the heels of Governor Palin's CPAC speech. And Jason here is the first candidate or elected official to do it. You can see it right at sarahnet.net or at the Liberty Pose site. So right there, sir, I'd say you're a stand-up guy, even if your politics weren't in alignment with conservatives. But the good news for the people of Missouri is your politics line up nicely behind Liberty, too. So best of both worlds here.
Absolutely. We can't have enough freedom, that's for sure.
You know, Andrew Breitbart was brought up a lot this month with CPAC and a year after his death, and one thing he hammered on, and it's one of my worst annoyances out there, is how Republican men sit on their hands when Governor Palin is attacked or they're threatened by her and don't want to invite her to conventions, etc., scared to share the stage. Not you. You proudly stood up and took this fun but important photo, and you have enough integrity and belief in yourself, like a Ted Cruz, like a Jeff Flake, just to name 2, to not be threatened by Governor Palin. Instead, you're joining her in the fight for common sense.
You know, you got to stand strong and solid for fellow conservatives. We have enough liberals continue to attack each and every one of us, and it's about time we all join forces and stand strong with one another to bring our country back.
You got this GOP nomination for Missouri's 8th Congressional District in a unique way. After the incumbent announced she was stepping down, you had to be chosen by the party. How did you get the nod, and why are you running for this spot?
You know, it's an interesting process. It started with 27 people that initially showed an interest in the nomination, and it boiled down to 86 people, the chairs and vice chairs of all 30 counties, and the chairs and vice chairs of every legislative district within the 8th Congressional District. And I'll tell you, I was clearly the underdog. I drove over 10,000 miles in my car visiting with these committee members, from dairy barns to kitchen tables to coffee shops, and just selling the message of limited government and personal responsibility and freedom. And we ended up getting the nomination.
You have a real leadership role in your current position. You think that'll help you if you get to Washington, that not only did you serve on a state level, but also on a level with a lot more responsibilities than just perhaps a representative without those extra things going on?
You know, I think so. I think it's about building relationships with people and understanding that it's okay to disagree and still work together to get things accomplished. And I think that's what we have to do and continue to do in Washington, D.C.
Sarah Steelman backs you, and that to me tells me all I need to know about you. She raves about you. You worked hard on her Senate run that Governor Palin endorsed. What are your thoughts on having Steelman in your corner?
I'm always pleased to have Sarah with me, and she's a good friend, and she actually lives in my district. I'm her state rep, and I've known her family for a long time, and she definitely believes in fighting for freedom and liberty.
I mean, obviously there was great disappointment, not just from the Steelman camp themselves, but from all of us here with how things went in the Senate situation, and a lot of Sarah Steelman fans here. But I will say she was excited when she knew that you had a chance to get this nod, and then when you in fact did so, and almost as if it were her on the ballot, the way she talked about you. So good stuff there.
I definitely appreciate her, and she's a good friend, and I fought tirelessly for her in her prior elections, and we need folks that are willing to stand up for what they believe in, and that's right for the conservative cause, and she's right in line with it.
A lot of issues to tackle on the trail. Let's hit a few. Farming, big in your area of the country. What separates you from your opponent there?
I don't have to tour a farm to understand agriculture. My family has been involved for several generations, and this is the most diverse agriculture district outside of the state of California. We grow everything except for citrus and sugar, and I think that we need more people in Washington that understands rural America. I come from a small town of less than 5,000 people, and I'm running to represent a district of 750,000. We need more small town values in Washington, D.C.
And farming certainly affects all of us, even if you're not in a farming state. It's where the food and things come from. I think people lose sight of that sometime in Washington. One issue, of course, that's affecting all of us, whether low information voters know this or not, is the budget. It's been, completely neglected in D.C. for a long time now. How badly do we need to balance the budget?
This is the thing that bothers me, and I say that we need to bring Missouri common sense to Washington. Our country has failed to balance the budget 51 out of the last 56 years. We haven't even passed a budget in over 1,400 days. In the state of Missouri, we have to balance our budget. These are the kind of things that we need to do in Washington, D.C. It's just common sense. We have to govern in the state of Missouri with a balanced budget. We should do the same thing in Washington.
You proudly state that you are 100% pro-life. We first thank you for standing up for life. And also Governor Palin, of course, a true champion of life. She'll be speaking at the Terry Schiavo Gala soon. You'll not go to D.C. and change your tune, will you? This is something you believe passionately in.
Absolutely not. I've served in the Missouri House for 8 years, and I'm the sole candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life in this race, and I strongly believe in protecting life.
Now, going at this campaign here, when is the election date?
The election is on June 4th, and the clock is ticking, and it's a special election, the only thing on the ballot. And we're working hard. The last week, out of the 30 counties in the district, we've hit 27. And the momentum is definitely growing.
What kind of special challenges when you have an election like this? I mean, everybody, even on an off-year election, still people know the primary date, and then, obviously November for the election. But here, it's a sprint here, and like you said, the only race on the ballot. So is there a different way you go at it, or in some ways, is it also an advantage because, if you can get the vote out, you can get things done pretty easily?
It's very aggressive. This is actually my second special election. When I was first elected into the House, the Missouri House of Representatives, I was elected in a special election in 2005. And it's about, finding your supporters and getting them to the polls. Most people, may not know that there's an election, and you have to inform of an election and really fight to get out the vote.
See that? You're the wild card candidate. You wait for these unique situations to get out there, right? You know how to do it.
I don't plan it, but it just tends to fall into my lap that way.
How about that? And any other issues that you really want to let people know that they can trust Jason Smith if they send you to Washington, that they can be sure in Missouri, and also folks around the country who may want to help you out, that you will fight for if elected?
I think regulation reform is something that we have to do. It's just insane that you see that there's over 170,000 pages of rules and regulations that's on the books. And, you see the Department of Labor try to implement child farm labor rules. You just see so many different rules. It's breaking down the backs of small businesses and family farmers and individuals. And, we have to stop that and put a control on all the rules. Whenever you have the president make comments in a State of the State that he's wanting to push climate change, but if he doesn't pass it through Congress, he decides to implement it by the EPA, I mean, that's a problem. We got to stop these agencies trying to, make one system, one party of government instead of three branches. That's a huge problem.
It really is unbelievable, and we do appreciate that sentiment, and hopefully more folks like you can be there to put a stop to this behavior. It sounds tremendous, Jason. We're rooting for you and try to help you out as much as possible. How can people learn more about you or to help your campaign?
Well, they can find us on our website. It's www.electjasonsmith.com, and through that website they can find our Facebook and Twitter.
Sounds good. Brackets busted yet?
It has busted, unfortunately. The first round, my team that was going to take it all home lost.
Same here. I'm never that great. I was just telling someone here, the last time I ever, I think, got to the championship game was Rick Majerus' Utah team with Keith Van Horn that got there, that got me far. And but this may go down as the worst. Just 2 days into it, and I was ready to crumple the thing up. So unbelievable.
It's definitely not going the right direction for me. So I think I went with my heart instead of my mind.
I always do that. I always do, and it gets me. And, I picked the World Series 2 of the last 3 years, though, so maybe we could start an MLB pool and everybody be happy. I don't know.
I bet.
Well, listen, Representative Smith, our best to you, sir. Say hello to Christy King and Josh and that great staff you have there in the Show Me State.
I'll do it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, and we hope you keep that representative title, just mean a little something different.
We're trying to get there.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Visit electjasonsmith.com. A good guy here, someone we can count on. Head over to the website and see how you can help. It's electjasonsmith.com. So, have you struck the Liberty pose yet? There's a new website that wants you. libertypose.com. Just grab your favorite soft drink or even your Bible, gun, football, whatever you like. Snap a photo and then load it on libertypose.com. And remember, this isn't just about Sarah Palin or soda pop. It's about liberty. And Governor Palin used her big gulp during CPAC as a symbol for something much larger. Great shots on the site. Again, visit libertypose.com, and now you can even win for posing. libertypose.com is giving away 2 autographed books, Going Rogue by Sarah Palin and Our Sarah by Chuck Heath Sr. and Chuck Heath Jr. Check out libertypose.com for all the details. It's about standing up and showing your patriotic spirit. So Tucker Carlson opened his mouth recently, saying, quote, Sarah Palin is a good speaker and all that, but I'm not clear what Sarah Palin does, actually, unquote. Well, let's just say he may know now. Twitter went berserk with the hashtag #SarahPalinDoes, and supporters of the Gov talked about everything from her political accomplishments to her dedication to her family and her faith and everything in between. Bristol Palin even retweeted a bunch of those who made their voices heard. Some of the great examples, Vic_Meg tweets, hashtag Sarah Palin does inspire and motivate me and other young women in the world. Charter Okie weighs in with hashtag Sarah Palin does know and uphold the U.S. Constitution. And Bella's sister says, hashtag Sarah Palin does inspire my teen, knowing she can do it all by her own strength. They run the gamut. Sarah Palin even responded, tweeting, hashtag Sarah Palin does appreciate support from those who are in it for a reason, not a season. Piper Palin celebrated another birthday this past week. It seems just yesterday she was slicking down baby Trig's hair in front of a worldwide audience. Governor Palin posting, happy birthday, Piper Indy Grace. We love you more than life itself from the whole family. We here at SARANET Radio also wish Piper the best. As Jason Smith lamented today, still no budget in Washington. It's really expected at this point. Sarah Palin called out the failed politicians this past week, asking, do you agree that Washington shirked their constitutional duty by not passing a budget in almost 4 years? Remember, these are the quote-unquote leaders we've sent there to represent us and be good stewards of our hard-earned tax dollars. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7 of the United States Constitution states, quote, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time, unquote. She then included a Patrick Henry quote, the liberties of a people never were or ever will be secure when the transactions of their rulers may be concealed from them. Sarah Palin gracefully paid respects to our 7 Marines killed in a training accident, saying our thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends of the Marines who lost their lives today. Meantime, Harry Reid took the really low road. Reid had implied that the sequester was to blame, saying, quote, "These men and women, our Marines, were training there in Hawthorne, and with the sequester, it's going to cut back this stuff. I just hope everyone understands the sacrifices made by our military," unquote. Well, Mark Levin didn't keep his mouth shut on this. The radio host said Reid is the lowest of the lowlives. Sarah Palin tweeted, "The great one is right." The Marine Corps responded to Reid's comment, too, saying that the Democrat was guilty of political posturing on the backs of those dead Marines. Despicable. Sarah Palin commented on President Obama's trip to Israel, saying, as always, one must listen carefully to what leadership says or fails to say in analyzing current affairs. Palin went on to examine this quote from the president. Obama said, "It's not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of her own." Well, Palin points out that much of this is due to Palestinian leaders' decisions. She goes on to say, there seems to be nothing on the horizon to change the mindset of those who would raise Palestinian children to hate and be intolerant of Jews, Christians, and other quote-unquote infidels. The governor urges prayers for peace in the Holy Land. You can see the entire post on Obama's naive view on Israel at Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Well, it's almost time for International Day of Prayer and Remembrance for Terry Schindler-Shivo and all of our vulnerable brothers and sisters. And that also means the Terry Shivo Life and Hope Network's Award Gala with Governor Sarah Palin. It's April 5th in Philadelphia. For tickets or to contribute to this wonderful event, head to lifeandhope.com. Again, lifeandhope.com. Governor Palin will be speaking at this event. The governor's also scheduled to speak at the Women's Resource Medical Centers of Southern Nevada shareholders in Life Banquet and Silent Auction. You can learn more about that event at wrmcsn.org/banquet. And the NRA-ILA Leadership Forum, scheduled for May 3rd in Houston, has announced that Governor Palin is a confirmed speaker. The forum will be held at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Head to nraam.org for tickets and more information. Now, our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. This week, we got confirmation that our health insurance premiums will be going up. For some individual consumers, as much as 116%, and for small businesses, somewhere between 25% and 50%. Insurance companies reported that the increase was due to changes in the law from Obamacare and due to just medical costs going up. Now, we all knew that Obamacare would force premium increases. But what about the all other medical costs that keep going up? There's no question that advances in medical treatments is nothing short of miraculous. However, many nonprofit hospitals are making tremendous profits. Time magazine recently did an expose on nonprofit hospitals and found no rationale for setting hospital charges. That's why no one ever knows what anything costs if you ask them. And coincidentally, that's why they are making huge profits. In fact, the report states that the profit margins of these huge nonprofit hospitals is feeding the problem by enabling them to gobble up physician practices and smaller hospitals in the areas, leaving patients with fewer choices and insurers with less power to negotiate prices, not to mention the 6- and 7-figure salaries top hospital executives are being paid. There needs to be health care reform. If Congress isn't going to repeal Obamacare, they should start looking at why hospitals are raking in the bucks. This is Sarah Steelman for SarahNet Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. And don't forget, the Palin Update, including Steel Resolve, is now on demand and available for download. So just head to SarahNetRadio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Visit SarahNetRadio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. And follow along on Twitter at SarahNet Radio, at Kevin Scholla, and at Sarah_Steelman. And we're also on Facebook, so be sure to like SarahNet Radio and like Kevin Scholla. And Palin Patriots, a new series of articles written by Palinistas, is available at saranet.net. Some great stuff from Bader Carmount, Dan Bongino, and Martha Zoller thus far. For some common sense perspective, check out Palin Patriots at saranet.net. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman and everyone here at Saranet Radio. Thanks to Representative Jason Smith, and thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.